his friend, you would say, well, he knocked on somebody's door who wasn't his friend. The guy didn't care about him. Now, it's obviously that this man who he knocks on his door represents God. And God is our friend. We sang the song this morning, I am a friend of God. And he goes to his friend. And he says to him, I need bread. And you know what he says? Go away. Does God tell us to go away sometimes? Maybe. He says, go away. I know this. I can bet you that if I knocked on your door at midnight, Beth, you'd open the door and give me bread. Would you do that? Now tell me here, I want to raise a hand. If I knocked on your door at midnight and I said to you, I need bread, please help me, how many of you would send me away? Anybody here? Not one of you would do that. Yet this man who represents God sends him away. Is it possible that when we come to God, God is going to look to see how insistent we are before he answers? Is it possible that before he answers, he's going to do a work in us before he gives us what we desire? Is it possible that God doesn't want to say no? He wants to say yes, but he's got to get us to a point where he needs to say yes before he can give us our desire, or the desires of our heart? Could it be possible that the only way he can get us to that point is by saying no first? How am I doing, George? Listen to me. I'm going to tell you a little story. Jesus says this: the kingdom of God suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. It's a different statement, isn't it? I have a friend who, before he got saved, I consider him a violent guy. Not extremely. But even after I knew him, this is one guy I wouldn't want to mess with. I wouldn't want to do it. Before he got saved, he bought 2 quads for his kids. You know the quads, the four-wheel quads? What they have, like the motorcycle type thing, the quads you ride? Does everybody know what I'm talking about? He bought 2 quads, one for his son, one for his daughter. They were riding on Christmas Eve, the day of Christmas Eve, or maybe it was Christmas Day. And they pulled back in because he gave them to him for Christmas. They pulled in the driveway and left them there. And they went somewhere. And he said, oh, don't worry, they'll be all right. And he came back, and they were gone. They were gone. They were stolen. So he decided in his mind, I'm going to find out who stole these things. And he is going around doing a search. And he finds them. He sees them in somebody's driveway. And he decides, that's it. I'm going to press charges against this guy. So he presses charges against the guy. He presses charges, and he's going to have him arrested. They go there, they issue the warrant. About a week after they issue the warrant, it's about 4 o'clock in the morning, and he gets a phone call, wakes him up. This guy is screaming at the other end of the phone. If you don't drop the charges, I'm going to come. I'm going to hurt you, and I'm going to hurt your family. I'll come in the middle of the night. I'm going to hurt you. He hung up the phone. He ignored it. About 10 minutes later, 5 minutes later, the phone rings again. I'm telling you, if you don't drop the charges, I'm going to come and hurt you and your family. He knew his address. He says, you live at such and such address? They said, yeah. He said, well, you don't have to worry about it. I'm coming to you. I'll see you in 10 minutes. He gets out of bed. He gets dressed. He drives to the house. He gets in front of the house and he lays on a horn like for 3 or 4 minutes. Now, I want to tell you something. For 3 or 4 minutes on a horn at 4:30 in the morning is a really long time. Okay? That's loud. And you know what you're doing? You're causing ruckus. Now, this man who went to his friend's house at midnight is doing something. Because it says he's shouting, I need bread, come and help me, I need bread. You know what he's doing? He's waking up the neighborhood. He's causing a ruckus. So my friend is causing a ruckus now at this house. And when he finishes laying off the horn, he hears somebody say, come around the back of the house. He figures, I came this far, why not go around the back of the house? So he gets out of the car, he walks around the back of the house, and he sees a door there. And when he sees the door there, he realizes where the man must be hiding inside. He says, if he saw the house, you know there could only be one place he is. So he kicks in the door and reaches to that area and fills the guy there, and in the pitch blackness now, really does reconstruction on this guy. He does it. All right? He leaves. And as he leaves, he sees the police up ahead. And he knows they're coming for him. So he just pulls over. He walks up to him. He says to him, I know you're coming for me. You could just arrest me now. And he tells the cops what happened. They say to him, you know what? Somebody threatened my family like that? I'd have done the same thing. Why do I tell you this? Because I think you should go out and be violent? Because I think you should go out and do something like this? I'm not telling you that because I think you should go out and be violent. I wouldn't want anybody to do that because you want to know something? That's dangerous. That's dangerous, and he's a weird kind of guy. He's a strange type of kind of guy, and he's a big dude. He's a big guy. Joe, he's about your size. He used to unload 2 railroad cars full of flour, 100-pound bags of flour a day. You know what that is? Stop. Do I want you to do that? No. I don't want you to do this. But you have an enemy out there who's threatening your children. You have an enemy out there who's threatening your city. You have an enemy out there who's threatening your family. You have an enemy out there who's threatening your church. Are you going to sit back idly and watch him do it? Or are you going to do something and say and get up at your bed and say, I'm going and I'm going to fight and I'm not going to sit here and let the enemy take my family. I'm not going to let the enemy take my church. I'm not going to let the enemy take my children. I'm going to do what I have to. If I have to get out of bed in the middle of the night and I'm going to fight that time, I'm going to do the people of this. Hallelujah. That's what the church needs to do. Just an addendum to the story. About 2 weeks later, he got a letter from a lawyer. He was being sued by the man. He picked up the phone, he called him. And he said to him this. He says, do you know any normal person that would have done what I did? And the guy thought about it. He said, no. He said, I'm not normal. You have 1 week to drop the charges. And a week later, he got another letter. The charges were dropped. God's not looking for normal people. He's looking for extraordinary people. Hallelujah. Praise you, Jesus. Praise you, Jesus. Let's give the Lord a clap of offering. Hallelujah.